Good afternoon. Wow, what an introduction. Thank you. It's great to see so many of you here this afternoon, and it really shows how much you're behind alternative industries for our agricultural industry. The future is not always fresh. I am the co-founder and managing director of Natural Evolution, which is our brand company, and something which we've just recently launched is Evolution Industries. That's our innovation and research and development company that is responsible for all of the hard work to bring natural evolution to life. So to set the scene for you just a little bit, there is a great TED talk that I've done on this, by the way. You can Google Krista Watkins going bananas, because that's quite literally what we've done. And you can get the full experience there about how it came to be. There was a few messages from the universe, but the reality was every week my husband and I were dumping tons and tons of beautiful bananas that we'd put a lot of energy, love and resources into producing, and we were dumping them because there wasn't a market for them. They were misshapen, they were too big or small, they were oversupplied, and it wasn't just our problem. Our neighbours, they had the same problem. They were still dumping bananas. You know, our industry had a problem. It's still got a problem. 500 metric tonnes of bananas are discarded in North Queensland every single week. And I can tell you that some weeks, when, especially in the summer months, there's actually more than that. Fruit agents will call farmers and say, don't send. Do not send any, the market is flooded. And the reality is that often farmers will get a bill. It will cost them more money to send produce to market for fresh sale than to just cut it onto the ground and let it rot. That's the reality. We face that reality every week. Throw in 2 monster cyclones and we'd really hit rock bottom. So we had Cyclone Larry, which absolutely devastated our farm. We had not a single tree standing. And that's something that's very, very hard to come back from. So as much as you want, you can get out there and scamper around and try and de-hand all the bananas that are about the right size that you would have been harvesting next week anyway. Hopefully, not many of them are damaged. And hopefully you can get a few boxes away to the agents, because you're not going to have another bunch that's viable to sell to market for another 9 to 12 months. Then you've got the added expense and concern of trying to hold your key staff in a regional area where there's not a lot of job opportunities, and you need to try and retain those staff, because when your crops come back, you're going to need your 50 to 60 workforce back again to keep your business running. 5 years later, we get another cyclone. A Category 5 again, Cyclone Yazzie. The damage wasn't as severe, but we hadn't really recovered from Larry at that point. And it always sat in the back of our mind, all those bananas that we'd been throwing away for all those years. Imagine if we had the income from them now. We would have been so much better financially prepared for having 2 years trying to keep our business running, staff employed, with nothing coming in. So all of that, it really did propel us to try and think about things a little bit differently. As much as we wish we could, we just cannot control the weather. But what could we do to try and eliminate the risk so that if the weather was bad, if we did get another Category 5 cyclone, what could we do for ourselves, for our friends, for our other fellow farmers and industry, to help them out? Because it wasn't just us. There was a whole heap of people that weather pattern affected. And still today we're seeing other farmers, especially along the eastern seaboard over the last couple of weeks, with broccoli and cauliflower. You know, literally due to temperatures, it's rotting in the paddock, but it's not suitable to be harvested. What can we do differently to try and stop that, to change it, to eliminate the risk for those farmers? We also thought about population. The population is expanding, it's growing. Doesn't really make sense to us to go and invest more money and resources, infrastructure in creating more farmland, when inevitably all we're going to do is produce more and throw away more. We're already producing so much, but we're not using it. There are statistics out there which really concern me. They say 10% of Australian agriculture is waste. That accounts for $4 billion. I don't know. That sounds like a pretty small estimate to me, especially when I've been around to the farms. I've talked to the farmers. I'm keeping a track of all their waste per week. It's certainly a lot more than that. And especially when you throw in some severe weather patterns, you're going to have 100% crop loss possibly. Part of what we've done had to be sustainable. And when I talk about sustainability, yes, the environment. We can't be negatively affecting the environment in any way, shape or form. As a farmer, it's our passion to leave our block of dirt in a better place than when we actually found it. But it also has to stack up economically. There's no point going and investing and innovating and spending all this time, money, resources, energy into something that's not going to be profitable. It has to be profitable and it has to deliver. So what we came up with was the world's first, it's still the world's only, green banana processing facility. It looks beautiful. It's there in Watkins. It's the third one we've built. We started with a pilot, then we moved to a proof of concept, and now we have this facility. And as I stand here today, there's a whole team at home working now, looking at the next model, which will have 5 times the capacity, because we simply can't keep up with demand for our product at the moment. What we've done is, it's not like going into a food processing store and saying, hey, I'm going to start making banana flour. Just wondering if you could sell me the whole processing line. It's not available because no one had ever done it. We're the first people in the world to commercialise banana flour. So we did go farm to fork and we made a product that we were not even sure of in the market. We had a good feeling about it. We were gluten-free, suited all the vegan opportunities. It was Australian made, which we know is highly sought after, and it was sustainable. There wasn't extra resources going in to produce this. We were making something, a very valuable something, out of something that was already there. So we set about the very big task of innovating a processing line that would take a banana into a powder. Thinking on an Australian stage where we do have some really big overhead expenses, it had to be economically viable. If we can make it economically viable here in Australia, we can go and put these things anywhere in the world and it's still going to deliver. So we set about that task. We've now created a processing line which we've dubbed Nutrilock technology. It's a fully inline, cold, raw processing system which will take a banana to powder in under 10 minutes. A highly fibrous product into powder form in a raw way in under 10 minutes. It's been a very well-deserved winner of many sustainability awards, both here in Australia and overseas, and it actually took home a Gold Edison Innovation Award for food and beverage. It has transformed the way we process food. It's been proven to lock in nutrition 20 to 50 times higher than any other food processing technique available. So in that time, we've gone through a whole process of patents and trademarks, trying to optimise our existing packing systems, so taking something from a farmer where it's not going to impact them, their daily business of packing bananas in a shed. It's actually going to make their life easier rather than putting it into the back of a tractor, chopping it up and trying to distribute it throughout their farm. We've had to develop products, yes, bulk products, but also retail ready for the consumer. We've had to go through the whole science and nutritional analysis of the product, and we've actually made some very exciting discoveries along the way. such as the richest form of resistant starch that's ever been tested in the world. That's a whole other story. Obviously, the engineering and fabrication of the whole process, we've done all of this in-house, setting up our marketing, and the expert advice and mentoring. It was very important for us to be successful here in Australia before we moved into export markets. If we didn't know how to sell the product here in Australia to our fellow community, how on earth could I then go and push those expectations on someone else in a different country? So that part of the process has been very, very important to us. For about 2 years, I took myself to every trade show I could get into in Australia. I went to a couple overseas, and I also attended every local market in far north Queensland for about 2 years. I just about wore myself out, but I got something really, really valuable from it. I had to talk to the people who I was trying to sell to. Their customers, their consumers, but their people. What did those people want? What could I give them with what I had so that they would want it? It really helped us. We transformed our packaging. We transformed our online website so that it was more user-friendly. And we actually created a demand for a product that had never before been sitting on a shelf. And I'm so proud to tell you that it's sitting on the shelf in Woolworths here in Australia. You will find our brand throughout some retail outlets in Australia. And we are beginning to maximise our export sales. Our data shows us that as much as we can produce, we can send it all into Asia at the moment, which is great news, but we're a little bit behind on the new factory construction. In that time of realising it wasn't just our problem, it wasn't just our community, it wasn't just our industry, we've had farmers from all sorts of industries come to us. So one of them has been sweet potatoes, experiencing even more waste in their industry than what we are seeing in bananas. We've been able to take that product in and within half an hour have a fully commercial product. It took us 5 or 6 years to get the whole processing line for bananas right, and now we can take anything in. 30 minutes, commercial product, equipment adjusted on our fully functioning PLC software system. This broccoli here, that was a paddock that was in Victoria of September 2018. The market was flooded. It wasn't worth anything. The farmer was going to disc it back into the ground because it would have cost him money to send it as a fresh food item. Instead, we took it in all the way up in North Queensland and we've turned it into broccoli powder. You're going to see that broccoli powder in a major retail launch this month. We haven't yet launched it in our own brand because we simply do not have enough of it at this point. So what we've done is we've taken a problem, we've found a solution to the problem, but more importantly is we've had to make those connections for the consumer-driven opportunities. Bulk, export, retail, direct sales. We've created a platform through social media where customers on all those levels can engage with us and we can support them directly as our customer, but also indirectly through their distribution models and their products. Making one thing, banana powder, has now led to over 50 different products, not just made by us. We have about 13 different products that are all banana powder based in our brand, but the other companies that we now supply as a bulk ingredient, they're innovating and they're coming up with all sorts of ways to apply that product to their customers. I look forward to answering some of your questions shortly.